Judge Evelyn Carson sat in her courtroom at the Maricopa County Municipal Courthouse. The steady hum of fluorescent lights filling the space as she prepared for another busy day. With 27 years on the bench, Evelyn was known for her efficiency and no-nonsense approach, her crisp robe, sleeves neatly rolled at the wrists, and sharp gaze commanded respect. To her, justice was a train that must keep moving. There was no time for distractions or second guesses. As she glanced down at the docket, the name, Marcus Lewis, appeared next. It was just another case to process, another speeding citation to swiftly resolve. When Marcus, a tall, composed man in a charcoal suit carrying a briefcase, rose from the defendant's bench, Evelyn barely registered his presence. Without hesitation, she recited the details of his offense and imposed the standard $450 fine. Already turning the page to the next case, the courtroom clerk and bailiff exchanged uncertain looks, sensing something off, but Evelyn pressed on, confident in her routine. It was clear she saw Marcus not as a person but as a name on a list. A case to be cleared. Little did she know, this moment would challenge everything she believed about fairness and justice, and led her to reconsider how quickly assumptions can cloud the truth. Marcus Lewis stood calmly as he approached the defendant's stand in Judge Evelyn Carson's courtroom. His charcoal suit was neat but understated, his briefcase firmly in hand, and his demeanor composed. Unlike the typical speeding defendant, Marcus showed no signs of nervousness or defiance, just quiet confidence. When Judge Carson recited the charge, "You were clocked driving 62 in a 35-mile-per-hour zone," she imposed the standard fine of $450 without so much as a glance in his direction. Her eyes were already on the next file. The courtroom staff exchanged puzzled glances, sensing something unusual in this case. But Judge Carson's routine left no room for delay or discussion. Marcus, however, did not leave immediately. Clearing his throat softly to catch the judge's attention, he said, "Your Honor, before this concludes, I would like to offer some context." Evelyn paused, eyeing him with mild suspicion, prepared to dismiss him as just another defendant wasting court time. But Marcus continued evenly, "I was driving that route because I was running late to the federal courthouse. I am Assistant U.S. Attorney Marcus Lewis, and I was scheduled to lead a briefing on a major racketeering case." The atmosphere in the courtroom shifted palpably. Judges, clerks, and officers exchanged subtle looks as Marcus's name echoed in the room. Evelyn's tone softened as she asked cautiously about the case. Marcus explained that the Marston case involved complex investigations into trafficking and corruption and that his co-counsel had called in sick that morning, requiring him to present both parts. Judge Carson recognized the name Marcus Lewis from recent legal journals and a lecture she had been invited to but missed. Suddenly, the man she had just fined like any ordinary defendant was someone she had respected from afar, a key figure in a high-profile federal investigation. The courtroom fell silent, suspended between confusion and newfound respect. Evelyn's usual brisk control of the room faltered for the first time in years. Marcus's calm, unassuming presence, free of arrogance or entitlement, left a profound impression. The judge realized she had made a snap judgment, influenced by assumptions based on appearance and circumstance rather than facts. This encounter was more than a legal formality. It was a moment of reckoning about bias and humility in the pursuit of justice. Marcus's composed demeanor and the quiet strength he carried served as a powerful reminder that respect and integrity often come without noise or grandstanding, and that sometimes the people we overlook carry the heaviest responsibilities. This unexpected meeting challenged Judge Carson to rethink how she approached her role and the individuals who appeared before her, setting in motion a journey toward greater awareness and empathy in her courtroom. The story of Marcus Lewis and Judge Evelyn Carson is not just about a speeding citation. It's about the human tendency to make quick judgments and the transformative power of perspective. Evelyn had spent nearly 3 decades on the bench, cultivating a reputation for efficiency and firmness. She believed that justice, like a well-run train, needed to keep moving without unnecessary delays or distractions. So when Marcus appeared in her courtroom for a traffic violation, her eyes barely flickered. Just another case to be processed. But Marcus was no ordinary defendant. Beyond his composed exterior lay a man who carried the weight of the law on his shoulders as an assistant U.S. attorney. He was deeply involved in one of the state's most significant racketeering cases. A web of crime that had challenged law enforcement and legal professionals alike for months. Despite his position, Marcus approached the courtroom with humility and calm respect, never asserting his status but quietly revealing the gravity of his role when given the chance. This moment forced Evelyn to confront her own assumptions. She realized that her initial reaction had been shaped by appearances and routine, not by the person standing before her. In that instant, she recognized the danger of treating people as mere case numbers or stereotypes rather than individuals with stories and struggles. The courtroom, usually a place where power was wielded swiftly and decisively, became a space for reflection and growth. Evelyn saw that Marcus's strength came not from loud assertions but from steady dedication, meticulous work, and a commitment to justice that demanded discipline and resilience. This realization led her to question her own approach, not just to Marcus's case but to every person who came before her bench. Could she afford to be so quick to judge? Was efficiency worth the cost of missing the humanity in her courtroom? The encounter sparked a profound shift within Evelyn. She began to see that justice is more than legal procedure. It's about fairness, empathy, and the courage to listen deeply. Marcus's quiet dignity reminded her that the most powerful voices are not always the loudest, and that true respect is earned through integrity and humility. This lesson stayed with her, reshaping how she viewed her role and the people she served, and reminding us all that sometimes the most important moments come from those we least expect. As Marcus Lewis stood silently near the courtroom entrance, a place where he had been dismissed too hastily moments earlier, the atmosphere inside the room began to shift in a way no one had anticipated. Judge Evelyn Carson, who was usually in full command of her courtroom's rhythm, found herself unsettled for the first time in her long career. The usual hum of legal proceedings quieted as General Raymond Caldwell entered the courtroom, his 4-star insignia gleaming with authority and respect. Without hesitation, General Caldwell's gaze locked onto Marcus, the man who had been summarily fined without a chance to explain himself. The room fell into a hush as Caldwell made his way purposefully to the entrance, bypassing junior officers and court staff with an air of unmistakable resolve. "Who is that man standing outside?" Caldwell asked, his voice steady but carrying weight. The sergeant hesitated, then nodded toward Marcus. Caldwell approached Marcus directly, his eyes carefully examining the quiet figure, and then, loudly enough for the room to hear, asked, "What is your name?" Marcus answered calmly, "Marcus Lewis." The general's expression shifted to one of recognition and respect. "You knew General Hayes?" he asked. Marcus's voice was steady despite the tension. "Since we were boys. We served together in Vietnam." For a moment, the courtroom was suspended in silence. Then General Caldwell offered a full military salute, one that resonated far beyond mere protocol. It was a salute that acknowledged years of friendship, sacrifice, and loyalty. Caldwell then extended his arm and invited Marcus to join him at the front row, the place where the most honored guests sat. Marcus, usually reserved, accepted with a quiet nod, and the two men walked side by side, commanding the attention of everyone present. Whispers swept through the crowd as guests realized the gravity of the moment. This was not just another defendant but a man whose life had been intertwined with the very fabric of military service and justice. At the front, General Hayes's widow, Rebecca, greeted Marcus with tears in her eyes, holding his hand gently and affirming, "I told you he'd come." The simple act of inclusion, of recognition, transformed the entire atmosphere. Judge Carson, who had moments before been the unwavering authority, now watched as respect and honor took precedence over procedure. The incident challenged her to reconsider how quickly assumptions are made and how easily justice can be diminished by overlooking the humanity behind the cases. In this powerful moment, the courtroom became more than a place for swift judgments. It became a space where history, friendship, and honor converged. Marcus's presence, supported by General Caldwell's intervention, reminded everyone that behind every citation or case number is a person deserving of dignity and understanding. The experience stayed with Judge Carson long after the courtroom emptied, marking the beginning of a new chapter in how she approached her role, one tempered by humility, respect, and a deeper appreciation for the stories that each person carries. As Judge Evelyn Carson escorted Marcus Lewis to the front row of the courtroom, the atmosphere shifted palpably. The murmurs that had quietly filled the room transformed into a hush of respect as everyone recognized the significance of the moment. Marcus took the seat that had been reserved for him, not by strict courtroom protocol, but by the understanding of those who truly knew his worth. Beside him sat Rebecca Hayes, the widow of General Samuel Hayes, whose eyes glistened with tears as she reached out to hold Marcus's hand gently. "I told you he'd come," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Marcus squeezed her hand in silent acknowledgement, the weight of decades of friendship and unspoken loyalty filling the space between them. Around them, the ceremonial prayers and the solemn bugle's notes drifted through the courtroom. But for Marcus and those who understood, the moment transcended ceremony. The worn photograph tucked inside Marcus's coat, a faded image of two young soldiers muddy and smiling in fatigues, with General Hayes's arm draped over Marcus's shoulder, served as a silent testament to a bond forged in hardship and resilience. As the ceremony drew to a close, the folded American flag was presented to Rebecca. With steady hands, she passed the flag to Marcus, saying simply, "Tom wanted you to have this." Marcus accepted it reverently, holding the flag close to his chest as if it contained the very essence of their shared history. Later, Rebecca handed him a sealed envelope bearing his name in Samuel's unmistakable handwriting. Inside was a letter written days before Samuel's passing, a heartfelt expression of gratitude, regret, and enduring brotherhood. Samuel's words spoke of the countless ways Marcus had been his true brother, not through rank or ceremony, but through unwavering care and sacrifice. "You don't need rank to save a man's life," Samuel wrote. "You don't need a title to be his brother. You just need to care more about someone else than yourself." Reading those words, Marcus felt the weight of a lifetime's loyalty and love. The letter was more than a farewell. It was a celebration of a friendship that had weathered wars, losses, and the passage of time. In that courtroom, surrounded by strangers who only saw the formalities, Marcus found profound recognition, not from official protocol, but from the deep, lasting bond he shared with his oldest friend. This moment, quietly powerful and deeply personal, reminded everyone present that true honor and loyalty are measured not by medals or titles, but by the lives we touch and the promises we keep. After the funeral ceremony had concluded and the crowd began to disperse, Marcus Lewis remained seated quietly, the folded American flag resting gently on his lap. The room had emptied, but an intimate moment was about to unfold between him and Rebecca Hayes, the widow of General Samuel Hayes. Leaning close, Rebecca reached into her handbag and produced a small sealed envelope addressed simply to Marcus in Samuel's unmistakable handwriting. Marcus's hands trembled slightly as he took the envelope, his fingers tracing the delicate script. He waited patiently until the room was nearly empty and the sounds of the ceremony had faded before carefully breaking the seal. As he unfolded the letter, he found himself immersed in the raw honesty and heartfelt gratitude penned by his oldest friend in the final days before his passing. Samuel's words revealed the depth of their bond, one not built on medals or rank, but on shared hardships and unwavering loyalty. The letter spoke of the dangers they faced together during the war, the long nights in the jungle, and the moment Marcus saved Samuel's life during a deadly ambush. Samuel acknowledged how much Marcus had cared for him, saying, You don't need rank to save a man's life. You don't need a title to be his brother. You just need to care more about someone else than yourself. The letter also expressed regret for not publicly acknowledging Marcus's sacrifices sooner, confessing that Samuel had chosen not to make their story public despite opportunities to do so. He described the makeshift armband he had stitched for Marcus to carry a piece of him through their ordeal, a symbol of their unbreakable connection. Samuel concluded with a heartfelt hope that Marcus would find his rightful place among those honored at the funeral, not by protocol, but by the bond they shared. As Marcus read, emotions welled within him, emotions he had long kept guarded. The letter was more than words on paper. It was a testament to a friendship that transcended time, war, and silence. It affirmed that true honor resides not in public recognition but in the quiet acts of care and courage that define our truest relationships. Holding the letter close to the flag, Marcus felt a profound peace settle over him, knowing that the legacy they built together would endure beyond ceremony and headlines. This private farewell was a powerful reminder that some stories, those of loyalty, sacrifice, and brotherhood, live deepest in the hearts of those who share them. After the powerful moments at General Samuel Hayes's funeral, Marcus Lewis returned to his quiet life in Birmingham with a humble spirit and steadfast resolve. Despite the brief spotlight he found himself in, Marcus never sought recognition or praise for his actions. Instead, he continued the routine that had shaped his life, helping neighbors fix broken window screens, volunteering once a week at the local high school library, and quietly going about his days with a gentle, unassuming presence. The library became a refuge where the whisper of turning pages and the soft shuffle of feet reminded him that life, in all its quiet dignity, went on. Occasionally, Marcus would doze off in a reading chair, his face serene and content. Though people around town now recognized him from the viral video showing a 4-star general saluting him in court, Marcus treated the attention with modesty. He would nod politely when greeted, shake a hand, or share a few words, but never told the full story, because some stories are meant to live fully only between two people. And one of those people was gone. Life's rhythms continued, until one day Marcus noticed a young soldier sitting alone on a park bench, looking restless and weighed down by invisible burdens. Without a word, Marcus sat beside him and offered silent companionship. The young man recognized him from the widely shared footage of the courtroom scene. "My grandfather showed me that video," the soldier said quietly. "He said that's how men used to carry themselves." Marcus smiled softly, gazing at the trees rustling in the gentle breeze. "We just tried not to forget each other," he replied. Together they sat in a comfortable silence, sharing a moment of understanding that transcended words. When Marcus rose to leave, the young soldier stood as well and gave a crisp, respectful salute, not for cameras or applause, but as one man honoring another. Marcus tipped his hat in return, knowing that, for him and for his lifelong friend, it had never been about recognition or ceremony. It was about showing up, keeping promises, and being truly seen in the moments that mattered most. Marcus's story is a quiet testament to the enduring power of loyalty, humility, and the dignity found in a life lived through service to others. A reminder that some of the greatest acts of courage and love happen far from the spotlight, in the spaces shared between friends who refuse to be forgotten. In the days following the funeral of General Samuel Hayes, the story of Marcus Lewis, the humble man who was almost turned away but ultimately honored by a 4-star general salute, spread rapidly across social media and news outlets. Videos capturing General Raymond Caldwell halting the entire ceremony to personally escort Marcus to the front row quickly went viral, amassing over 1 million views in just a few hours. Headlines praised the moment as a powerful demonstration of respect, loyalty, and the recognition of true brotherhood. Yet amidst the sudden surge of attention, Marcus remained remarkably grounded and modest. He did not seek fame or special treatment. To him, the video was simply a fleeting reflection of a bond that had lasted decades, a bond that never needed public validation to be meaningful. Local reporters, veterans groups, and even podcast producers reached out to Marcus, eager to hear the full story behind the poignant moment that had captured the nation's heart. His response was always the same: "I've said what needed to be said." The profound depth of his friendship with Samuel Hayes was something that could not be easily encapsulated in interviews or headlines. It was a lifetime of shared sacrifices, silent support, and unwavering loyalty. Life soon returned to its quiet pace for Marcus. He continued to help neighbors, volunteer at the school library, and live modestly in his community. Yet the impact of that day lingered quietly, a reminder to all who witnessed it that true honor often goes unnoticed until someone chooses to acknowledge it. One afternoon, while walking through a neighborhood park, Marcus noticed a young soldier sitting alone on a bench, visibly tense and burdened. Without speaking, Marcus sat beside him and offered silent companionship. The young man recognized Marcus from the viral footage and remarked softly, "My grandfather showed me that video. Said that's how men used to carry themselves." Marcus smiled gently, looking out at the rustling trees. "We just tried not to forget each other," he replied quietly. They sat in shared silence, a moment of understanding between two generations connected by respect and service. When Marcus finally rose to leave, the young soldier stood as well, offering a crisp salute, not for the cameras or public applause, but as a genuine gesture of respect between comrades. Marcus tipped his hat in return, knowing that for him and for Samuel, it had never been about public recognition or ceremony. It was about showing up, keeping promises, and being truly seen when it mattered most. Marcus's story, now etched into the hearts of thousands, stands as a powerful testament to the quiet courage, humility, and loyalty that define true friendship and honor, reminding us that sometimes the greatest acts of love and bravery happen far from the spotlight, in the shared moments between those who refuse to be forgotten. The story of Marcus Lewis and his lifelong friendship with General Samuel Hayes carries a profound lesson about loyalty, humility, and the true meaning of honor. Marcus's journey reminds us that the most important acts of courage and devotion are often quiet, unseen by the world, and unaccompanied by applause. He was a man who never sought recognition, carrying the weight of his sacrifices and commitments with grace and modesty. From their childhood days in a small town to the harrowing battlefields of Vietnam, Marcus and Samuel forged a bond deeper than titles or medals, one built on trust, sacrifice, and unwavering support. When Marcus was almost dismissed in a courtroom for a speeding violation, it wasn't his rank or accomplishments that defined him but his steady dignity and quiet strength. The moment when a four-star general halted a funeral to honor him publicly was not just about ceremony. It was about recognizing the value of true brotherhood, respect, and integrity. This story teaches us that judgments made too quickly or based on surface impressions can miss the real human being behind the label or the charge. It challenges us to slow down, to listen, and to honor the stories and struggles of those around us. In a world often obsessed with status and noise, Marcus's story is a call to remember the power of humility and presence. It reminds us that being seen and acknowledged in moments that matter can be one of the greatest gifts we offer each other. If this story has touched your heart or reminded you of someone who has stood by you silently and steadfastly, I encourage you to share it with them today. Let them know they are seen and valued. And if you want to hear more stories that inspire, challenge, and uplift, please subscribe to our channel and join our community. Together, we can celebrate the quiet heroes among us and learn to lead with kindness, patience, and respect. Because in the end, it's not the titles or the spotlight that define us, but the love and loyalty we carry in our hearts. Following the powerful moment in the courtroom where Judge Evelyn Carson publicly recognized Marcus Lewis, a mutual respect blossomed between the two professionals, transcending the formal boundaries of their roles. The incident, which began with a simple speeding citation, became a catalyst for deeper understanding and reflection. Judge Carson, who had long been known for her swift decisions and no-nonsense demeanor, found herself re-examining her approach to justice after witnessing Marcus's calm humility and dedication. Recognizing the weight of her earlier snap judgment, she reached out to Marcus with a phone call, an unusual but sincere gesture. The conversation that followed was marked not by defensiveness or blame but by honesty and mutual acknowledgement of growth. Marcus expressed his appreciation for the call, emphasizing that the letter he submitted after the hearing was meant not to criticize but to invite reflection on the often overlooked nuances of justice in busy municipal courts. Judge Carson admitted that she had allowed the pace of her courtroom to overshadow the individual stories behind each case. She confessed to a desire to slow down, listen more attentively, and apply discretion with greater care. This exchange was more than a professional dialogue. It was a shared commitment to uphold justice not just as a mechanical process but as a human-centered endeavor. Over the following weeks, changes in Judge Carson's courtroom became evident. While efficiency remained, it was tempered by patience and empathy. She began to engage more deeply with defendants, asking questions and considering context before ruling. Small but meaningful adjustments reflected a softer, more attentive presence, one that invited respect rather than demanded it. Marcus, too, continued his meticulous work as an Assistant U.S. attorney, aware that the legal system's strength lies not only in laws but in the people who interpret and enforce them. Their evolving dynamic symbolized a bridge between prosecution and judiciary built on respect, humility, and a shared pursuit of fairness. The story serves as a poignant reminder that growth often requires vulnerability. That true leadership is demonstrated not by control but by openness to learning. And that the integrity of justice depends on seeing the person behind every case. Through their example, Marcus and Evelyn inspire us to embrace reflection and kindness in our own roles and interactions, encouraging a justice system and a society that values humanity above all else. Judge Evelyn Carson's journey toward a more compassionate approach to justice marked a profound transformation in her courtroom and beyond. Known for decades as a firm and efficient arbiter, she had long prioritized the smooth flow of cases over personal interactions, believing that a tight grip on proceedings ensured fairness and respect. However, the encounter with Marcus Lewis, an Assistant U.S. attorney who revealed the limits of such rigidity, sparked a deep reevaluation within her. As Evelyn began to embrace a more empathetic perspective, she discovered that justice is not merely the application of laws but an intricate dance involving human stories, struggles, and dignity. She started listening attentively to defendants' narratives, recognizing that beneath every charge lies a complex reality, no longer content to treat cases as mere paperwork. Evelyn sought to understand the individual circumstances influencing each person's actions. This shift was not about leniency or weakness but about fairness rooted in context and humanity. Her courtroom's atmosphere changed noticeably. It became a place where people felt seen and heard rather than rushed through a checklist. Defendants like a young nursing student facing a minor traffic violation found themselves met with patience and thoughtful consideration, resulting in outcomes that balanced accountability with compassion. Evelyn's transformation also resonated with her colleagues and clerks, who noticed the subtle but powerful difference in her demeanor. She began to engage more meaningfully with her staff, sharing insights and encouraging a culture of respect. This new approach extended beyond professional life, influencing her personal relationships as well. She found herself reconnecting with her daughter, opening spaces for dialogue and vulnerability that had long been absent. The experience underscored that leadership is not about command alone but about connection, humility, and the courage to change. Evelyn's story highlights a universal truth. Justice thrives not in cold efficiency but in the warmth of human understanding. It challenges us all to see beyond appearances and documents, to listen deeply, and to act with kindness. Through her journey, Evelyn Carson reminds us that embracing empathy in roles of authority not only benefits those who come before the bench but enriches the very fabric of our communities and ourselves. Judge Evelyn Carson's experience with Marcus Lewis serves as a powerful reminder that assumptions can cloud our judgment, and that true justice requires us to look beyond the surface. In a world that often values speed and efficiency, it's easy to treat people as mere cases or numbers, rushing decisions without fully understanding the stories behind them. Evelyn's initial snap judgment of Marcus, simply another speeding defendant, was shattered when she discovered his true identity and the immense responsibility he carried as an assistant U.S. attorney fighting a complex racketeering case. This revelation humbled her and prompted a profound transformation in how she approached her role. The lesson here is deeply human. Every person we encounter carries a story filled with struggles, sacrifices, and dreams that we may never see at first glance. When we take the time to listen, to slow down, and to approach others with empathy, we honor their dignity and uphold the true spirit of justice. Evelyn's journey shows us that humility and openness are not signs of weakness but of strength, a strength that can change lives and reshape institutions. For each of us, this means challenging our own biases and learning to see people fully, beyond labels or first impressions. If this story has touched you, if it has reminded you of the importance of compassion and understanding in a fast-paced world, I encourage you to share it with someone who might need to hear it today. Leave a comment below telling us about a time when a moment of empathy changed your perspective or how you strive to be more understanding in your daily life. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, where we share stories that inspire growth, challenge perceptions, and celebrate the humanity that connects us all. Together, we can build a community that values kindness over judgment, presence over haste, and above all, the courage to truly see one another.